Alright, this is Math 1, looking at some homework help for Unit 1, Lesson 4, looking at literal equations and formulas today. So let's look at some of these problems. The directions say with the first step to solve each equation for y, which means we're going to move things around in order to get this to be something like y equals something. That's our goal, is to get it in that form, so we need to move things around the equal sign in order to make that take place. There were additional pieces to this where actually on one of the worksheets I saw, they gave you values of x, like x equals 1, x equals 2, and then wanted you to solve for those values. So I'm not sure if your teacher's going to add that or not, but I did see that as well on some other worksheets that I looked around and saw. So here we go. Let's look at number 2 first of all. We have 8x minus 4y minus 12. I'm just going to rewrite it here so I have a little more space. 8x minus 4y equals negative 12. Alright, so the goal is to get the y by itself. That's our goal here. So let's do one piece at a time. Let's first of all begin by subtracting 8x from both sides. Now, I can put this here and that will go away. 8x minus 8x becomes nothing. So I have a negative 4y on this side remaining. Over here though, these are different, right? I have a whole number, negative 12, and I have this one with a variable, negative 8x. I can't combine those. Those are not like terms, so I end up having to keep them separate. I have negative 8x minus 12. So don't start subtracting because these are different. I have an x variable and I have no variable here, so these are different things. Okay? Now, I want to get the y by itself, so what I'll do is I'll divide both sides by negative 4. I want to do negative 4 so that this reduces to simply being y, because negative 4 over negative 4 is simply 1. Okay? So let's divide this part by negative 4, and we'll also divide that part by negative 4. I could do the whole thing under negative 4, but it's still the same idea. Well, let's look at one piece at a time. Negative 8 divided by negative 4. 8 divided by 4 is 2, and a negative divided by negative is a positive, so I leave it as just 2, and I keep the x where it is.
Jeremy.
Now over here I have negative 12 divided by negative 4. So again, I have 12 divided by 4 is 3, and a negative divided by a negative is going to be positive. So in this case, for number 2, when I solve for y, I should have in the form of y equals 2x plus 3. Let's look at number 3. Same idea. In this case here, I already had the x on one side and the y over here, so all I really need to do is divide both sides by negative 3. And I'm going to go ahead and do each piece by a negative 3 just for ease there. And so in doing this, I'm going to zoom in here a little bit here. This reduces down to a y. That's good. The 2x divided by negative 3, not much I can do about that. I'm going to rewrite that as negative 2/3 x. And this part, negative 9 divided by negative 3, well, negative divided by negative is positive, so I'll have a plus answer. And 9 divided by 3 is 3. So we have y equals negative 2/3 x plus 3. And finally, on this last one on this side over here, on number 6, I want to get the x's and the y's on different sides. So I'm going to begin by subtracting 10x from both sides. So now I have negative 5y equals 5 minus 10x. No problem there. And now I want to get the y by itself, so I'll divide both sides by negative 5 by negative 5. And so this becomes just simply y. 5 divided by negative 5 is a negative 1. And a negative 10 divided by negative 5 is a positive 2, and I keep the x. I probably would want to rewrite this as y equals 2x minus 1, but either answer is just fine because they are the same thing and we solve for y. Moving on to the next section, it says solve for each inequality. With inequalities, it's the same idea. The exception is that now instead of an equal sign, I have a less than or greater than sign here. And the trick is that if it's just moving things around that are positive or whatever, we're okay. It's when we have to start multiplying or dividing by a negative number that the sign was going to, the inequality will change directions. Let's take a look at this. All right. So first of all, I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides. No problem. Nothing to do there except just to do what it says. So I'm going to let's rewrite it here so I have some more space, if you don't mind. So we have 4x minus 2y is less than 8. So I subtract 4x, no problem, which leaves me with a negative 2y is less than 8 minus 4x. Again, These are not like terms, so I can't combine them. They're separate things. That has an x, that does not. I want to get the y by itself. I'm going to divide both sides by a -2. Divide by a -2. Divide by a -2. Because I'm dividing by this -2 right there, that means that when this reduces down to 1 and that becomes just a y, I have to flip my sign the other direction. Whenever I divide by a negative, I'm going to change the direction of my sign. So instead of y less than, it becomes y is greater than. Alright, so get that flip there. Make sure you got that. 8 divided by -2 is -4. And 4 divided by 2 is 2x. And a negative by a negative is a positive. Again, another example where I could change the order there around to make it a little bit nicer. And I do y is greater than 2x minus 4. Alright, the key though is this part, dividing by the negative and changing the direction of the inequality. Let's look at number 9. Number 9, same idea. I'm going to write it up here for you. 4x minus y is less than or equal to -3. And we're going to subtract 4x from both sides. So we have -y is less than or equal to -4x minus 3. Again, these are not like terms, so I cannot combine them. I don't want to leave a negative by y by itself, so I'm going to divide both sides by -1, -1, -1. And again, that's a 1 because in front of that y is that magic 1 that you can't quite see, but it's always there. So this reduces to a y, and again, because I divided by the negative, I need to change the order of the sign to make it greater than now. -4 divided by -1 is just plain old 4x, and -3 divided by -1 is positive 3. So y is greater than or equal to 4x plus 3. On the next ones on the bottom here, on 11 through 13, great little problems, and what they're wanting you to do is to use the formulas they give you for the area of a rectangle, area of a circle, and area of a triangle, and then use the information to plug in those values to look for the unknown portion of that. So for example, if I have what is the width of a rectangle, right, I'm looking for the W here. Given the length, here's my L value, is 25, and the area is 375, I want to find the W. So what they're asking you to do is they're saying essentially, take the formula, A equals length times width, and plug in what you know. The area was 375, and that's equal to 25, my length, times W. At this point now, you're going to have to go ahead and solve that. I'm going to let you work that part out. But the idea is just take the formula and then plug in the values they give you and see what's there. Number 12 wants to find out the radius, the R value for the circle. Okay, so that's where we are there. Now what's tricky about that one is they give you the circumference is 5 cm. I guess what's tricky is you might have forgotten that the formula for the circumference of a circle is circumference equals 2 pi r. Now, so that's how you'd find that out there. So we're going to use that formula. Even though they give you formulas for the area, which is great, they want you to use the circumference to find out that one. So that's the actual formula you would use, not that one there. Not sure why they did that, but there it is. And then finally over here, a triangle has a base and an area. So you can see they give you the base and the area, and they want you to find the height, the h value, for the last one there, number 13. Okay, so let's flip it over to the back side, look at a couple of these before we wrap up this lesson here. Let's look down at number 17, just a couple more inequalities. All right, make sure you're on the right page here. We're going to solve for y. So I'm going to begin by adding 20 to both sides. So this becomes -5x plus 10y is less than or equal to 20. I'm going to add 5x on both sides. So now I have 10y is less than or equal to 5x plus 20. I'll divide both sides by 10, divide by 10, and 10 over 10 becomes 1, so this is just left with y, less than or equal to. I'm dividing by a whole number this time, so by positive, so I just keep the sign the way it is. 5 divided by 10 is 1/2 x, and 20 divided by 10 is 2. So we have y is less than or equal to 1/2 x plus 2. And number 19, same idea. We're going to move this over first. We're going to add 9 over here. This becomes 21. It's less than or equal to negative 6x plus 3y. I'm going to add 6x to this side over here. So I have 6x plus 21 is less than or equal to, here's my y value, 3y. And now we want to solve for y, so we'll divide every part by 3. Move it over here just so we can see it there. So 6 divided by 3 is 2, keep the x, plus 21 divided by 3 is 7, and we keep it less than or equal to y. I don't need to change the direction of my inequality because I divided by a positive number. Alright, and our last one today to take a look at here is number 20. It says a large four-sided pyramid-shaped box needs to be painted. The formula for the area to paint is area equals 2 times base times height. So first it says solve the formula for B, which means take that and move it around so that B is in the place of A. That's what I want you to do. So that would look like this. We take A equals 2 times B times H. I'm going to divide both sides by H. So now I have A over H equals 2B. And now I want to get the B by itself, so I'll divide both things by 2. Alright? Divide this by 2. And really I should have start with here, divided by 2H. That would have been easier. Sorry about that. So this becomes A over 2H equals B. Because of the associative property, it doesn't matter the order there that I do it in, so we're just going to move both those at one time. Alright? So B equals the area over 2 times the height. That's how you find the base. With that formula in mind, now we come down to here where they give us the area, check, and they say that H, the height, is 32, check, and we want to find the base. So we're going to plug in those values to find out what the solution would be. So the base would equal 1,280, the area, over 2 times the height, 32. And now you do your math and you'll solve to find out what the base is. I'm going to stop there for now. Good luck on the rest of your problems.